For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in, wherever the hell you're tuning in. It's one of those summer days where I'm kind of like, I'm just going to go slow. You know, when I walk my dogs, it's a power walk, right? Like, we mean business. We are not stopping. They're not sniffing everything, peeing on everything. We just go. Today's one of those days. Well, also, it's sweltering hot, but it's just one of those days where you're kind of like, you know, I'm just going to walk a little bit slower. I'm just going to take my time. I don't know, there's something about a Friday in the summer. Could just be me. There's something about Fridays in general. Have you ever noticed that? I mean, again, I haven't worked in an actual office in a long time. I guess some of you haven't either. But even just the whole vibe of it. I remember going into offices before, and there just seemed to be this light environment, like this light attitude environment where people just seemed carefree. And it's like, why can't we have that feeling every day? Why can't we replicate that? Why isn't that here on a Tuesday morning? What, right? Like, it just seems like everybody's in a better mood. Everything is great. There was just some, maybe I'm just thinking of one office place in particular, that it was just, it was noticeable when it was a Friday. People were more laid back. It was casual. It was a good thing. It's not always that way, though. Right? I mean, I own my company, so if I don't generally work Fridays, very long. Okay, fine, I just outed this. We don't tape this show on a Friday, everybody. It is taped sometimes long before. So, quite honestly, if I'm going to be really honest, I think it's July for you guys right now. It's May. See, do you remember when broadcasting was totally different? I'm talking to my fellow broadcasters out there. For those of you, radio, television, the original forms of broadcasting, we had so many secrets that you people had no idea about. We would pre-tape stuff, we'd be, and now everybody knows the tricks of the trade, so... no, but again, there's just something on a Friday afternoon, especially in the summer, where you're just like, this is just... And same thing when you go for lunch with your coworkers on a Friday. Right? You're not hurrying back to the office. If it's a Wednesday, oh, sure, we got to get back. There's just something about a Friday. In the brain, you're like, I've got to slow down. And the same thing with me. When we ended we stopped doing our first country music show and then top of the charts, the top 40 music show, it just completely changed my schedule entirely. And so I was like, wow, I've got this new sense of freedom. We have a set day and time that we tape these shows every week, right? And now I'm just like, I'll admit, at first it was kind of strange. Time would come around and I'm like, I'm not doing the show today. Oh, it's kind of weird. It was my decision to end the show. I was not fired. I didn't, get canceled, despite what they put on my cake. But, it just threw me for a loop. But yeah, there's something about a Friday afternoon in the summer. So I just feel like just casual. I'm just going to go with the flow. You know what I'm going to do, though, today is I'm going to dole out some relationship advice. They're already wrapping me up going, okay, you've pissed away 4 minutes of the show. Can you pick up the pace a bit? I'm going to give some relationship advice. Sometimes, believe it or not, people do actually come to me and say, hey, you know what? I kind of need your insight. What do you think about this or that? And I'm going to answer one of those questions today. And then when it comes to food, we all love food, don't we? I have had my ups and downs, not with weight. I'm not going there. I'm saying my ups and downs with food and the way I buy it, the way I consume it. Do I order it? Do I have it delivered? Or do I go to the store and do it myself? Do I order food? Do I order an actual meal? Or do I cook, right? It's a really, really big deal. I've never, fun fact, never been one who was always taking a lunch to work. I've basically always been, I like to eat out. I do, but that's just because or am I going to talk about that in the segment? All right, I have to go. Tim, my producer Tim is yelling at me. You know what? It all starts on the Scribble right after this, and we're 5 minutes in, everybody.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. Several weeks ago, maybe it was even months ago, I don't even know. I've gone on a few relationship rants on this show, right? Generally, it's either about your dating profile, about relationship statuses on social media, or, just whatever it is. And so I've asked you if you have, relationship questions or stuff that you want to discuss, just to email me, right? Because I'll dole out the advice. I'm certainly not an expert, and I'm not trained in anything in particular, but I do like telling people my opinion. And so I did get an email that I wanted to share with all of you and see what your thoughts are, okay? So a listener emailed in, I have a crush on a guy and thought my flirting was getting me somewhere. Out of nowhere, he suggested that I get to know his friend, who apparently is interested in me. I have no interest in the friend, but I'm considering spending time with him to get the tea on the guy I'm interested in. Should I stop, or should I keep hanging out with the friend in an attempt to get the guy I really want? Okay, here's the deal. I think I understand what you're going for here. Now, either you haven't made it clear, is he just not picking up your flirting? Or is this his way of deflecting and saying, you know what, I'm not interested in you, but I don't want to be a dick, so how about you go with my friend? Okay, so there's two possible scenarios there. And secondly, if you're wanting to be vindictive and hang out with the friend, just to sort of think you can weasel your way in, that is totally something I would have done in my 20s. Absolutely. Absolutely, I would have done that in my 20s, right? Because, you see, the thing is that I was a heartless dick, and the problem with this is that if you're going to lead the friend on, the guy's friend, you're just going to end up looking like a real jerk if you do that, right? Because then this friend could start to have feelings for you, whatever it is, you're leading them on, and at the end, you could hurt the friend, and then the guy that you're actually flirting with, trying to get close to, will also hate you because you hurt his friend. So it could blow up in your face. Now, again, if you're suggesting that maybe your flirting game hasn't been acknowledged or the person's not picking up on it, that's completely different, right? Maybe he doesn't see it as that. Maybe he just sees you as being a friend and is like, hey, you know what? I think my friend would, really wants to get together with you. But if you're doing like hardcore flirting where it's obvious, where it's, then it just kind of seems like a jerky move. So anyway, I want to open this up to everybody else who's listening. Send me your thoughts live at jbonair.com, live at jbonair.com. I'm interested to know what people think about this. But I'm going to guess, and I know my audience fairly well, I think that people are going to say, you know what, don't mess with the friend's head. That's just going to lead to, trouble. Sure, it might be kind of fun to get the intel and do it, but at the end of the day, the guy that you're interested in is going to find out what ended up happening with you and the friend, and you could end up with nothing at all. And who knows? Maybe spend time with the friend. How funny would that be? Maybe that's the good way of doing it. Is you hang out with the friend and then you make that guy jealous, right? And then the guy sees how good of a person you are, and here's how wonderful you are. Okay, so maybe I'm changing my tune on this one. as I tell the story, I'm changing my mind. Go with the friend, get to know the friend, date the friend, be charming, be everything for the friend, and make this guy regret not noticing you and taking advantage of the opportunity. There you go. That's my opinion. I totally wasn't leaning that direction when I started this segment 3.5 minutes ago, but that's where it's ending up, everybody. Live at jbonair.com.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. Let's talk about grocery shopping for just a moment. Grocery delivery, I guess, is what it is now, right? You shop on your phone and then it's delivered to you. I got into that, probably about a year or so ago. And the one type of shopping that I actually like doing is grocery shopping. So for me, when I first moved into my house, it was sort of a ritual. It became a routine that on Sunday mornings, I'd walk to the store at the end of my street. Now, it only lasted a couple of months anyway. I'll tell you why. Okay. So I'd walk to the grocery store, but first there was a Burger King in the parking lot. And so I would go, that would be my brunch, if you will. I'd go at about 11:30. I'd get Burger King. I'd then go to the grocery store. There's a liquor store in the little strip mall, so sometimes I might go there. And then there was also a pet store too. So really, it's a one-stop shop for where I lived. And so I would go to Burger King. Now, the reason why this ritual didn't last was because every week I would go and buy a shit ton of groceries, and the stuff would go bad because it was just me in my house. And remember, when you first get your house, and this is why I wrote a cheapskate book, you spend way too much, right? I had the cupboards full of everything. I had like 4 different kinds of cereal. Think about how long one box of cereal will last one person. You have one bowl a day, so let's say one box of cereal might last you 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And the days that you don't eat breakfast because you're late or whatever it is, right? This is back in the day when people would have to leave their house to go to work. And so I would, then the cereal would go bad. Or then I'd have every vegetable known to man because, you have to have a full fridge because that's what you see on TV. That's what mom and dad had when there were 5 of us living in the house, not realizing that one person doesn't need it. There are times, actually, right even to this day, if you were to come over to my house and you looked in the fridge, you would probably honestly say, have you eaten this week? Are you starving? Are you going hungry? Are you on a strike? Are you not? Because I only go grocery shopping again, or order my groceries, when the fridge is practically empty. And I'm going to tell you why. See, this wasn't even the point of this segment, but I'll swerve off here for just a second. And I popped my shoulder in case you didn't. If you heard that, don't worry, I'm okay. Let me just pick up my arm off the ground. But what I would do is I would have all of these things that I bought, right? So the cupboard is full, the fridge is full, the freezer is full. Very quickly, I started to punish myself and say, no, I am not buying any more groceries until I have all of this stuff. So if I bought that package of rice because it was on sale, or if I bought the gross chicken fingers that I don't like, well, you know what? I didn't want them. I didn't need them in the first place, but I'm not ordering more. I'm not getting more food in this house until I eat it all. And it's just a really good way to save money. And then it prepares you, right? Because you're just like, I resent these chicken fingers or this package of rice. I don't like it. I don't want it. I'm never buying it again. And now you're training yourself just to not buy it. So that was one of my money-saving tips from my best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being a Winnipeg Cheapskate, cheapskatebook.com. And that was why my routine of going to Burger King, grocery shopping, and everything on the Sunday morning and afternoon stopped, because I was just like, wait a second, I'm going here every week. There was no need for me to be grocery shopping every week when it was just me. And think about it too. To wake up in the morning, I might have some yogurt, right? So I might have a container of yogurt. Lunch, I've always been the type of person who I don't like sandwiches. I mean, I'll eat like Subway or whatever, but not like 2 pieces of bread and meat. And I've never eaten sandwiches like that. I don't like that. And so for me, whenever I've had a job in an office or out somewhere else, I've always I'm going to eat what I'm feeling like eating at that time. So if that means that I go out and walk to just go down the street and get a salad, fine. If I go to the fast food place, fine. Now with food delivery, fine. But taking a lunch to work, I had never done that in, I don't even know how many years, because I've always just kind of worked in a place. And so because of that, what I'm getting at is that I know you're going to say cheapskate, eating out every day. No, that's not the point. But basically what I'm saying is that I wouldn't need food at home for lunch, because I was going to be out 5 days a week at an office. So I didn't need to buy food for lunch. So really my only actual meal Okay, yogurt you can consider a meal, sure. My only meal that I was having was dinner, right? I had something in the evening when I would get home. So think about that then, right? Even if you just get a like a package of chicken, so maybe you've got 4 or 5 chicken breasts in it. Well, that can last you a few days, right? You put some in the freezer, you have that another time. So really, one time a week to go grocery shopping was too much. I would maybe do it once every 2 weeks. So now with grocery delivery, which was the point of this segment in the first place that we're now 5 minutes into. This is why people don't phone me. This is why I don't get calls anymore, because people will know they're calling me for reason A. I have now taken them to reason B, C, D, E, and F. And then we're about to end the call, and it's like, so what was reason A again? Why did you call me? Because I just steamroll it and take us off track. But it's always engaging and enlightening and fun. So with food delivery, that was something that I discovered, I would say maybe about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. And for me, it was just a matter of convenience because, again, as an entrepreneur, running a business, I would literally be working all day. Quite honestly, I would wake up in the morning, like P. Diddy. I would do radio hits with local stations at 6:15 or 6:25, 6:35, and 6:45. Then I would do that from home on the phone. Then I would go into the office, get to the office for 8 o'clock, whatever it is. Would be done at about 4. I mean, I might duck out early some days, but let's just round it up to 4:30. By the time you get home, let's say 5:30. I had 2 dogs. If they didn't come to work with me, I'd have 2 dogs to play with when I would get home. So that's a good half hour, 45 minutes, right? Because they're excited, they wrestle, and we have my coming home routine. And now when you look at, now it's 6:30. Now it's 7 o'clock, right? And if it's winter where I live, it's pitch black. So it just feels like it's night. It feels like it's super late already. So this way, order the groceries when I'm at the office. They're delivered for whatever time I pick when I get home. Same thing with food, ordering a meal, right? I can dial up the restaurant, say that I want it for 6 o'clock, 6:30. You don't have to worry about cooking. So with grocery delivery, I found it to be fascinating because, again, there was that novelty. I've never done this before. I've never had this before. This is pretty cool. I don't have to schlep through a grocery store. I very quickly started to resent it and maybe even regretted it sometimes because there's just certain things. This is, I was talking with my mom. I would never order groceries on there. I want to pick the lettuce. I want to pick the apples. I'm going to pick the orange. I'm not having somebody. Well, I would say to her, chances are these people are really working on tips and wanting to impress you. So I would expect, I'm not going to assume, but I would expect a big majority of them would take care in what they're picking for you, right? Because they give you shitty groceries, moldy stuff. They're not going to get a tip, right? Or they're going to piss you off. You're going to call in and complain, and that happened with me. That happened with me one time though. I ordered a package of garlic, like the peeled, already peeled garlic, and there were moldy pieces right on the top, and I was just like, buddy, you totally just lost your tip on this. Like, no, we're not going to have a debate about tipping where it's like, well, he did that. He drove his car. He used his gas. Well, the point is that you didn't give me quality service. That's what I'm tipping. I'm not giving you gas money. That's not why I'm tipping you. Let's be honest, right? Tipping is the service. So anyway, so the point is that it very quickly turned me off of the idea of ordering or buying groceries and having them delivered because I noticed something that if they run out of, let's say, the $3 whatever, the $3 item, the recommendation is now the $6 version of it. So if you wanted, let's say the no-name, the generic brand that's $3, oh, we're out of stock, but here's the one for $6.59. Yeah, no thanks. Have you noticed that when you're doing, the upsell, the alternate product is double the price? And I hate that. So that was the one thing that I didn't like about it. And whether that's an app, algorithms, whatever the word is, I just don't, give me something that's comparable to price then. That's what it is. You don't go from generic to the expensive brand. No, give me a generic alternative then. But don't jump me to the $6, $7, $12 one when the one that I wanted was $2.50. No. So that's where I had a bad taste in my mouth from the app itself and the way that it worked. And then you have the people, and again, I appreciate the fact that there's the chat option and they can say that this one's not available, but take a picture of one and send it to you. Would you like this instead? I get. But some of the people, this isn't a chat room. I am not here to, and again, and maybe this is me just being a curmudgeon and a dick, But it's like, hi, I'm Melissa. I'm your shopper. I'll let you know if there's anything that's not in stock. But it's like, I just do, the whole point of this is so that I have the least interaction with the actual experience. The whole thing is that I just want to go to my door, open the door, bring in my groceries, and that's it. That's essentially. I don't want to walk you through it. It's almost like like we're gonna live stream. You're gonna like walk me through the store. No, I would just go there myself then. I don't need the introduction. I don't need to know who you are. I just do it. Do the thing. So those were some of the issues that I encountered. Now, last summer, and I might have talked about this on the show. Last summer, I was getting together with my sister-in-law. We were getting ready for my mom's surprise birthday party. So I was going to the party store. We were getting some decorations and supplies. And I said we were going to carpool. My sister-in-law was just going to come pick me up because I was on the way. And I said, well, I'm just waiting on grocery delivery, but give it 20 minutes. It's almost here. It's just on the way. And so she's like, okay, fine. Just text me, call me when you're ready. A half hour goes by. And so I texted her. I was like, I don't know where my grocery, the car was on the way. So unless the person got into a car crash, I don't know where it is. But you know what? I can't sit around and wait. So I just go and I look. And it says delivered. So I go and I look in the app. And this is, again, the beauty of where they take a photo of the delivery, right? They have the proof of delivery picture. And so it says, I get all of a sudden this pop-up notification on my phone saying, oh, your groceries have been delivered, enjoy, rate the experience. And I was like, I go and I look at the front door. There's nothing. I go and I look at the side door. Nothing. I was like, how are these delivered? So then I go and I open the picture. It's a completely different house. So the good thing about this, so this is where there's consumer protection at this point, right? Because now I can go and say, look at the other people who have delivered to me, and I've had no problem. My house is blue. The house that she delivered to is yellow. So unless I just went and moved the windows and got a brand new door. So unless I did all these renovations just to fuck with your driver, this is not my house. I don't even know where did this end up? What's the deal? Now, worst of all is that it was the summer. This was July, so sweltering in the prairies of Canada. And I had ordered things like cheese, lettuce, something frozen. I don't remember what it was. And I just thought oh my God, well, whatever. I mean, so I got the order refunded. That wasn't a big deal at all. And then I just carried on with my day. I said, whatever, refunded it. I'll just order again or I'll just shop later. Not a big problem. So then in the afternoon, so we did our shopping, 2-3 hours go by, and I thought, you know what I'm gonna walk the dogs because it's got to be somewhere in our area. It's got to be somewhere in this neighborhood. And the way our addresses go is that if your address is, 556, well, the next street over, 556, is pretty much going to be in line with you, right? So I was like, okay, so I went one direction, not the band. I walked north. Okay, I went to the address. Okay, it wasn't a yellow house and whatever. So then I go to the other street, to the other side, so south now. And as I'm walking up the street with the dogs, I look and I was like, oh my shit, there's my grocery bags. 3 hours later, still sitting on the doorstep. And there's cheese and there's everything. So I'm walking the dogs, and now this is going to look, predatory as I walk up and down the street. But there was somebody actually walking up the street behind me. And she went up the sidewalk to that house. And so I was like, oh my God, quick dogs, quick. And so I go and I was like, oh, excuse me. She's like, hi. I'm like, those are actually my groceries. Could I get them? Well, it turns out the woman didn't live there. She was just a friend going to the house to pop in. And so she's like, well, I don't live here. It's my friend's house. And I said, okay, well, are they home? Can you? And so I went and I just showed on my phone, and I was like, yeah, this is it, if you look, it shows me your house, that it delivered. Can I just would you mind if I take that? She's like, oh, I don't care, whatever. Now again, there were some non-perishables in there, so but I went and opened it, and the cheese was just this melted blob, and there was romaine lettuce, which ended up being okay because it was in amongst the frozen stuff that was now pretty much dead anyway. But so I got some free groceries out of that. And I was just so mad. I couldn't believe it. I was like, how do you, and my street, the street that I live on is fairly well known, especially if you're in that area, if you're in that neighborhood. That's where I always expected, the pizza guy, well, they're going to know my street because it's just you just know the name of that street in the area. And so I was like, whatever, I can't believe that happened. Wouldn't you know it, sure as shit, just before Christmas, I come home, there's a bag of groceries at my front doorstep. And I couldn't. I was just like, "What is it?" And I thought, "Oh, suspicious package. Like, what am I getting into here?" I had somebody's grocery delivery on my front stairs, and I just started laughing because this is what was funny, is that the items that it was. So it was a box of chicken fingers, which again I think was probably what I ordered that went to the wrong place. So then I was like, "Is this my order arriving 5-6 months late? Is that?" But so there was chicken fingers. There was baking like flour and brown sugar. There was not Maalox, something for diarrhea, Imodium or something for the shits. Women's shampoo. There was I don't know, just a couple other things, and you kind of look at that and go, that is just so random. All just a bunch of random stuff. But the poor guy who's got the diarrhea, or the person who's got the shits, I mean, they didn't get their... I feel bad for them. That's just, shitty. But so this is where 15 minutes in now, I've explained my thought of not enjoying the grocery delivery app setup. So tell me, what do you think? And at least if you go to the self-checkout thing now, right? At least you can, steal a couple groceries here and there as you go, because... Did I talk about that on this show? Because I don't work here. Why do I have to ring it up and bag all my stuff on my own now? No, you know what? So I'm going to take an extra lemon. There we go. No, I'm not condoning stealing, everybody. Don't write me. But you can email me. Tell me about your food delivery or even your meal delivery. If you've ordered dinner and it's, there was one time. We've got to go, I know. There was one time when I ordered pizza. Can you believe it that the guy handed me the boxes upside down? And I took a picture of it. Can you believe that? How do you flip them over? How is that even possible? I would expect, I've never been a delivery driver, but I would expect that you get the, boxes, you put them in your little bag, whatever you have, and then you put it in your trunk or the back seat or something. How does it get turned upside down? Where did you roll your car before you got here? It doesn't make sense to me. And even when the guy handed me, you know how like the pizza box sort of has that little tab at the top so that you can stick your thumb and then lift the lid, right? That was on the bottom. So even when he handed them to me, I looked at that and I was about to, but I didn't think anything of it because again, you're not expecting your pizza to be flipped over. You're not. How would that? I wouldn't even fathom that's a possibility. You went from the restaurant to your car to my door. How did it flip over? I don't know. So that happened one time when I ordered food. All right. Live at jbonair.com. Live at jbonair.com.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. There's that show, Kids Say the Darndest Things, and I've told stories about my dogs here on the show, and dogs just do some funny, interesting things. I was watching during that brief little Twitter shout-out that we had that my dog in the other room he runs around, spins, right, chases his tail, basically. Now his new thing, though, is kind of laying on the floor. He's not scratching himself, but he's kicking his head, right? Like, you've seen them, how they'll take their legs and scratch their ear or whatever. He's not scratching. It is not scratch. He's basically like hitting himself in the head. He's kicking himself. And then he goes and he bites his paw when he does that. So he'll hit himself, and then he goes to bite. Hit himself, goes to bite. Hit himself. And this will play out. He's still doing it. This will play out for a good, I'd say 2 minutes at least. And then he'll do the tail thing, right? And then he'll do the kicking thing. And again, it's fascinating because somehow he's either entertained by this, he's fascinated by this, he's wondering, what's hitting me in the head? Oh, it's me. Like, right? I don't question it. It's better than him because he's, what is he now, 6 months old almost? I'll take that over destroying the furniture, pissing all over the house. Absolutely, I will take that. He can entertain himself. This is the dog that we had, an entire basket of toys in the corner of the room in the morning, by early afternoon, that basket is empty and there are toys everywhere. So it's like, I'm going to see this toy, play with it for 2 seconds, I'm going to go get the next one. So I don't know, maybe I should talk to Cesar Millan, but do we just give him 2 toys and then he can just play with those forever? Because it seems like he gets sick of them and then he goes and finds something else. So tell me your thoughts live at jbonair.com. We're out of time. All right, my name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Thank you. Tim and his hand signals today. Sometimes I see it out of the corner of my eye wondering if he's giving me the finger, but he's waving and saying, wrap up. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Feel free to give me a shout anytime, everybody. It's always awesome hearing from you. Live at jbonair.com is the email address. All right, it is, we're almost halfway through the summer already, so get out there. It's the weekend. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,